in that conversation, there's you, there's me, and then there's the conversation. And it's a third event in the room. It has its own character. And when that goes well, really well, you have a sense of connectedness to humanity. When you're in a dialogue with somebody, you can get to this place of that connectedness. And when you're there, you're basically in touch with the deepest part of your humanity. And that's what happens in what's called dialogue, when you're being heard as much as you're listening.
We have come a long way when it comes to mental health, but we can do so much better. In this episode, I chat with Dr. Ross Ellenhorn, a sociologist, psychotherapist, and the founder of Ellenhorn, the only fully integrated psychiatric and psychosocial program in the US. We talk about why removing people from their communities can make recovery harder, why connection is more powerful than institutions, and how the modern world has left us more lonely than ever. Ross also shares his groundbreaking perspective on addiction, why he believes play and dialogue are the keys to feeling alive, and what practical steps anyone can take to move from feeling stuck to building a meaningful life. Welcome to Move Your Mind, where we uncover why you are holding yourself back from getting the life you want and what to do about it. With the help from high-achieving guests and experts in behavioural science, personal development, and the health and wellness space. Join us if you're ready to move out of your own way toward your ideal self. I'm your host, Nick Brax, and I've been working in the health and wellness space for the last 15 years, helping people find direction and gain the courage to take control of their life. My mission is simple: to help you learn everything that I wish I knew, so you can become your ideal self. Lacking guidance, I spent the majority of my youth feeling lost and disempowered, which led to depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, and substance abuse. Looking back, I didn't have the vocabulary to communicate what I was experiencing. And as a man, I didn't resonate with the emotional language used in traditional therapy. I didn't need to talk about my feelings. I needed tangible solutions to guide me toward building a life I was proud of. If you can relate, then this podcast is for you. In this episode, we discuss the importance of connection and community. If you're ready to take action and build a stronger mindset, then keep listening. Ross, great to meet you, mate. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Nick. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to jump in. Are you able to give a background on yourself and the work you do, just so our listeners can, learn a little bit more about you?
Well, there's a one angle is I've created this this program. We've got offices in New York and Boston and Los Angeles, and it's a pretty big program that really believes that most people are having extreme events of mind and mood, which is often called kind of acute or chronic psychiatric experiences, really can live on their own, and that there's something really kind of symptom creating about going in and out of institutions or residential programs. So this is this idea of how do you kind of keep people out and keeping kind of social value in place while serving people with really kind of significant symptoms. We live in a world where people are getting kicked out of programs all the time because of their symptoms. And that's probably because people are having really kind of serious symptoms do better on their own. They don't do good in a milieu. I personally wouldn't do good in a milieu. I would go crazy having to kind of meet all these new people and all that kind of stuff. So, and that comes from my background as a sociologist. So I'm trained as a psychotherapist, but I do kind of believe that there's like this fundamental social experience that happens for somebody who's been treated for addiction or some sort of psychiatric issue. So that's kind of one area. And then the other areas, I write these books about kind of psychological experiences. And then the other areas, I've got a company that does a psychedelic work that's kind of influenced by my way of thinking in regard to the other practice, which is kind of the dangers in over diagnosing people and those sorts of things. So that's kind of the world I'm running in.
Interesting, mate. So lots of, it'd be super interesting, the different things you come across. Can you talk a little bit more about what you're saying with the sociology side with people that have addiction?
Well, I mean, the jury's in that social things are really kind of the main medicine for addiction. I mean, there's just so much proof that social support is like a fundamental thing, and that having a long-term relationship with somebody who's kind of keeping care of you are kind of the vital elements. It's what people talk about when they talk about kind of before the meeting and after the meeting with AA or fellowship in AA. The 12 steps are wonderful, but what the medicine is really that kind of connection.
Mm.
And that addiction is really kind of to solve the experiences of disconnection through drugs and alcohol. Not only because it
Mm.
creates connections, because that's why we've been drinking for years. People drink because they connect, and also because it kind of takes care of parts of the brain that are involved in connection. Um, and so we're really missing that every time we put somebody away because they're drinking. We're removing them from. We're kind of saying to them, you can't have the medicine for your problem until you're ready to have the medicine for your problem, right?
Mm.
We
Mm.
can't. You can't feel valuable socially until you get well, but feeling valuable socially is probably the best medicine for addiction. And then we also have this other crazy idea, which is that we've labeled it a disease. I'm not really sure of that. I actually have come up with my own term for addiction, and it's addiction. Like that's what it is. It's a habit. There's all kinds
Yeah.
of addictions in our lives they're these habitual things we can't control, and some of them are gorgeous, like love is this habitual addiction, and some of them get us in trouble. My writing is addictive. I wake up every morning and I've got to write. That's a good kind of addiction. So we call it a disease, and then we tell people that they can't get treatment for the disease until they're not showing symptoms of the disease. That's another insane part of addiction treatment, right? Is that we can't take you if you're using, which is just insane. We're finally kind of learning that
Mm.
we
Mm.
need to treat people while they're using and that sort of thing. And that again has to do with removing people from the things that give them meaning and purpose and connectedness for treatment. Um, so that's sort of where that falls in. And then this kind of orientation, like all our energy goes into when we treat people when they can't get to their addictive substances. So we put all our energy into that. And then when they can get to them, we give them kind of low level things like IOPs and, outpatient treatment. Well, all the energy should be put into what's happening when they're in the community, not in some place. That's easy. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
you can get somebody to stop drinking if you remove them from alcohol. Big freaking
Mm.
deal. It's
But
really
then,
about how you rebuild a life. Yeah.
yeah, because if you just remove it without anything else, I guess you're going to fall back. You're going to naturally be back in scenarios where you're exposed to alcohol, and if you don't have the right tools to stop yourself from indulging in it again, then it's not sustainable.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some of the elements of removing people are good, right? Because addiction kind of feeds addiction, and sometimes it's good to kind of get a reset. But that's not treatment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Treatment is how do I build a valuable life? How do I make my life more valuable than my use? And that comes from, am I valuable to others, and am I connected? And I'm not sure if telling people that their brains are diseased makes them feel connected. So that even that kind of approach is telling people they're broken, instead of
Mm.
trying to
Mm.
understand kind of what they're doing, how they're trying to take care of themselves with the use on some level.
If you're feeling stuck, you're not alone. Most people don't realize how connected your mental health is to your body, from your gut to your sleep, movement, food, mindset. Getting active each day can shift how you feel, build confidence, and transform your quality of life. At Move Your Mind, we guide you through this process step by step. If this resonates and you want to learn more, simply go to my Instagram at Nick Brax and click the link on the bio to fill out an application, and I'll send you over more information about the program. Thank you so much for supporting this podcast. If you find the show helpful, please share it with a friend and follow me on Instagram. It really helps.
They're not.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes so much sense because I mean, like you're saying there, really, it's all the same thing whether you're addicted like to things that we've typically talked about, like drugs or alcohol, or it could be social media, it could be work, it could be porn, it could be so many different things. And if we break it down, like you're saying there, most of us can probably relate on some level to having some form of one of these addictions. So I guess if we could stop shaming people around that and understand we actually all are the same and have those tendencies, then
Mhm.
do you think people then would be able to cope better if they could have that understanding?
Oh yeah. I mean, first of all, there's some evidence in actually that people who quit, well, most people quit on their own. They don't quit with treatment. So this other idea that we've got to get people into treatment, we got to kind of force them into treatment. But we're forcing them into things that don't really work. What we know is that when people are ready to change, they need some help at that point. When they're not ready to change, they need other kind of help, you know? And what some of the research shows is actually that people who quit on their own, their sobriety lasts longer. So, this whole idea that it's all about kind of feeding people into a treatment system,
Yeah.
it makes some sense, but it doesn't make total sense. How do we give people a sense of meaning and purpose and connectedness in their lives is what we need to do. It's no different than anything else. It's not
so
some
interesting.
special thing that requires this other way of kind of treating it necessarily. I mean, it does in some ways, but it's mostly about how do you get to the humanity of the person and how you help them kind of figure out how they want to build a better life.
Yeah. So a lot of it, when you boil this down, it sounds like it's common sense, it's logic, but we don't use the logic. We don't look at that. We don't we don't sort of, in general, it's like we're not doing enough preventative sort of stuff when it comes to mental health and all of these areas. I think, like you're saying, it makes so much sense that if someone isn't ready to actually want to make that change themselves, how are you going to stick to it? Like, why would you? Like, it's like impossible almost. Like, I quit alcohol 3 years ago, and I wanted to do it. I wanted to, but if I wasn't ready, there's no chance I would have stuck to it. So it's like, it makes so much sense what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, like the goal isn't, for me at least, the goal isn't sobriety. And when I'm working with, I mean, mostly what I work with is people with kind of significant psychiatric experiences. My goal is not symptom reduction. My goal is a meaningful and deep life for them. And typically, you got to get rid of your symptoms to get there. But that's not that's not the point. And if I have somebody who hears voices still, but is married and has a great life, I'm just much more interested in helping that and getting a person there than somebody who doesn't hear voices and is just jacked up on all kinds of medications and can't think straight and has no connections.
Makes
Same
sense.
same with moderation. I'd rather have someone moderating their drinking and having a good life and a connected life than someone who's abstinent and living in hell.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's such a good way to look at it, because and I think there's an obsession now in the modern world with, when it comes to wellness, of trying to, be perfect and try and get everything right. We've got to do this, we've got to do that. We see all these influences, and it's all garbage. It's like, who can do that? And that's not sustainable. It's not going to work. It's about finding and it's different for, like you're saying there, it's different for every single person. Like for me, I quit drinking because I have a obsessive personality, and I'll take it as far as I can go, even if I don't mean to. It's like I get that compulsion. So for me, it's better to cut it. But like you're saying, for some other people, it actually might be fine to still drink, but just have that moderation. So yeah. How important, you're talking about relationships. How important is like relationships in the sense of intimate relationships, having a long-term, partnership, in terms of, like you're talking about the connectiveness and everything. How important is that component of it?
Yeah, it's very important, but it's very important because of a massive loss, which is it's too important because of massive loss. Just like parents are too important because of a massive loss. Because we've lost the sense of kind of tribalism and community, the only access we have to feeling accepted and connection is individuals. And that works somewhat, but it's not as efficient and not as kind of enduring and dependable as an experience of tradition and culture that you know well. And so we're relying on things that are a little more difficult to keep going in a way that's kind of constant, as a sense that your elders gave you this kind of experience and you live within that experience. And that's kind of the injury of modern life, that we're really injured by that. The flip side is there's a lot of great stuff that comes out of not living in a secular world and living in a world without tradition. There's all kinds of amazing stuff that comes out of it too. But that focus on intimacy is all we've got, and the focus on parenting is all we've got. It's not how we're built, but it's what we've got. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And is that why you'll have people that, the world tells us that we're meant to, we live in this capitalistic world and we're all striving to be more, achieve more, whatever. Is that why there's so many of these people, whether it's a celebrity, whether it's a billionaire, that are just highly depressed because they've actually foregone
Mm-hmm.
those kind of relationships because of like the position they're in?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, you never want to say that social resources are more important than material resources, because that's really dishonoring of people who don't have a lot of social resources, lot of financial resources. But the fact is, you people live very deep lives in communities that don't have a lot of money, but they feel really connected to their community. And people live lots of people live empty lives because they have no sense of community. They have lots of money,
Yeah.
you know. And so one of the driving things is, how do we stay in a sense of continuity, connection within our culture, you know? And that's what we're struggling with. And there's
Mm.
actually an answer to all this, a very simple answer to all this, that can get us out of this state where we feel like we're not connected to our culture. It's really easy, and it's called authoritarianism. You just join and you follow some crazy ruler, and you believe that they're telling you what to do, and you feel all the same. And also, you've got to get rid of anybody that doesn't look like you, because you got to feel like it's homogeneic, like we're all the same. And if you do that, and what you need to do that is, you need to get some sort of like police force out there to get anybody that looks different out of the scene. And you do that, and then you got the sense that you're all part of something great and connected. It's just a beautiful way to feel like there's continuity. It's also crushing of the soul. It's evil, and the people that do it end up empty, because they're literally living in a world where it's just about conforming to each other. But that's one way to go. You know, I think there's
Yeah.
a big part of our population where the loneliness epidemic was solved for them.
Which
But
is, yeah, which
yeah,
is dangerous, like you said. I mean, you look at what's happening politically right now. It's these are things that people can, if like you're saying, if you are going from that evil angle, you can manipulate and say, okay, we're in a world where like
yeah,
anyone could do that, but like hopefully,
that's right.
we want to hope these leaders can at some point have morals and be able to think, no, I don't want to manipulate people. How do I actually make this a better world, instead of looking
Yeah,
at, okay, we're in this chaos. If I just like it's almost like a cult, isn't it? It's like, this
yes, it
is
is.
the agenda. It's terrifying. It's just like, it's sad that, the world's gotten to this place.
Yeah, there's this yeah, exactly. There's you're onto something that's very accurate, which is that the research on kind of authoritarianism says that there's every population, about one third of that population um, have a problem um, with too much change and are looking for homogeneity. And so it's not about the leader. It's not about following a leader that's the problem. It's that they're looking for a leader who will promise them homogeneity, right? And
Mm.
because what they're looking for is that sense that there's some continuity between us, that we're all kind of the same and it's safe that way. And so
Yeah.
what authoritarian leaders are is, they sell that. They sell making everything great again, right? They
Mm.
sell
Mm.
that version to people. And that third of the population rises up when there's a lot of diversity going on, and they become a force. And that's how that sort of sense of a lack of continuity is kind of affecting us right now. I don't know how we got onto authoritarian. I guess I started that, but that's
It's
um,
interesting. It's
yeah,
interesting though. um, and that's the scary thing. You're playing on people's emotions, and once you get into that area, then logic's out the window, and it's very hard to get through to get any other message through. So, um, what about like people? I hear a lot of people these days saying, "Well, in the modern world, it's a better choice to be single, and you know what? I can live in a major city and have all my needs met if I'm single, because I can." I'm never going to run out of things to do. I can walk out my door and I can meet people. I can do this. I can do that. I've heard a lot of people talk about that. But do you think that actually is going to give you everything you need? Are you still missing something if like living in that way? Because I don't know. It's like, seems like it's very easy for us to essentially distract ourselves from tapping into something deeper and thinking, am I actually feeling like whatever, like getting that connectedness that I'm really craving, or am I just distracting myself enough that my life's filled every day with things that I don't think about it? If you're feeling stuck, we get it. Most people don't realize how connected your mind is to your body. Sleep, gut health, food, exercise, it all matters. At Move Your Mind, we help you lose weight, build confidence, and reset your mindset in just 100 days. There's no extremes and no experience needed. We guide you to build simple habits and routines that will last for a lifetime. If this resonates and you want to learn more, simply go to my Instagram at Nick Brax and click the link on the bio to fill out an application, and I'll send you over more information about the program. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. If you have any suggestions for new topics or guests, please send me a DM on Instagram at Nick Brax.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, you and I are having a pretty good conversation. And in that conversation, there's you, there's me, and then there's the conversation. And it's a third event in the room. It has its own character. And when that goes well, really well, you have a sense of connectedness to humanity. And, when you're in a dialogue with somebody, you can get to this place of that connectedness. And when you're there, you're basically in touch with the deepest part of your humanity. And that's what happens in what's called dialogue, when you're being heard as much as you're listening. And if you're not getting there, you're not really in touch with your humanity. And so a person who's saying, basically what you're describing is someone saying there's everything possible I can consume in the city. But they're not saying I have these moments where I feel my connection to humanity, my connection to my human beingness with everybody. And that can only be achieved in experiences of dialogue. And yeah. And so that, I don't know if did that answer it? I think that answered it.
Well, so then if you, in theory, then if you had enough of that in your life, you had, really great dialogue, good people around you, you could connect.
Yeah.
In that scenario, do you need to have a relationship? Could you just be single and actually still be feeling as connected as someone in a really great relationship?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. 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 My business partner and best friend is, I don't think he's ever going to settle into one relationship, but he's connected to all these people, and he's constantly in a state of dialogue.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt his life's fulfilling.
Yeah.
So it's about being in dialogue. It's about being in that space,
That's the most important thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even a romantic relationship, whatever that guy's name is, the guy that wrote The Little Prince, said, it's not two people looking at each other. It's two people looking out at the world together, And so it's about that connection that's in the space between the two of you and how you kind of understand the world together. Like that's what you get out of couple,
Yeah, totally. So then actually in a bad relationship, if you're disconnected, it can probably be more lonely than being single even.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's all the research on loneliness says it's perceived isolation. In other words, you can be in multiple relationships, multiple friendships, and still feel lonely.
Yeah.
Loneliness is something you carry with you. It doesn't have to do with how many people are around you or how many relationships you have. Yeah.
Not an external thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's interesting. What do you think is the number one issue affecting this connectedness in the world at the moment?
Well, I think it's a combination of things that, people were really excited during what's called the Enlightenment about this idea that we were no longer have to rely on deities and religion and things like that to create a social bond. What the sociologist Durkheim called collective effervescence, the sense that we're all together in the same room with the same thing. And I can understand why they felt that way, and I think they were right, but they didn't take into consideration what capitalism was going to do to that, which was it was going to keep promising you connectedness and things like that to sell goods, and it was going to kind of come in there and take things apart once it could take advantage of all that loss of tradition. And so both those things happen, and so we're kind of rootless. We're kind of just trying to figure out how to kind of live in a way where we don't have any sense of community. So I think that's the cause, and there are some answers to it, but they're difficult to achieve, um,
Mm.
and they don't come from necessarily scholarly places. They come from, um, well, they often come from communities that have been marginalized. So, um, jazz is a story about how to be connected in an improvisational way. And living improvisationally with each other is probably the best chance we have. We're not going back to tradition, but how can I listen enough to improvise a response to a person? And by the way, that's what, when you think about it, that's what psychotherapy is, right? It's 50 minutes of improvisation on some level. Different than performing improv, but it is, because it's one person kind of looking after another person, but it is an
Mm.
act of improv. And that experience of we're connected and listening in something where we don't know where we're headed isn't really what traditional societies provided us. But now we have the chance to do that, to have these improvisational experiences with each other. Play is really this improvisational event, and
Mm.
there's all kinds of parts of American culture that were really kind of giving us that message. It's just that our elders aren't always recognized as handing that to us. You know, if you ever read
Yeah.
the kind of works of John Coltrane, you'll read a person who really understood this stuff, what he was trying to do to help people spiritually through jazz. Um,
So interesting.
yeah, yeah,
Is that why, like, say me, for example, my other career has been in the entertainment industry,
ah,
and
yeah,
I just find, like, even like I'm still sort of auditioning occasionally for acting roles, doing some stuff in that area, but I need to, I just do even an online class every week, and I've got a community in there where,
yeah.
I know these people well, where, we're
Mhm.
improvising, we're doing different things, but when I'm not doing that stuff, I feel like there's a piece of me missing. Like, it's
Yeah,
just like, is that sort of an example of it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, so yeah, exactly. That is. So there's a
Mm.
way to think about this. So let me, if you don't mind, I'm gonna move from dialogue to play,
Mm.
but they're really the same thing. They really are the same thing. So play is when you take something that feels like it's outside of you and solid, and you make it into something that you actually express yourself through. That's what a child's doing with their toy. And then when you do that, something remarkable happens, which is you begin to feel alive. Uh, Play always ends up with aliveness. And another remarkable thing happens is you begin to see the life in the thing that you're playing with. I mean, children, that's what they do. They put lives into things.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And then in that, you also feel the aliveness of the interaction itself. So, really, play and dialogue is the way to get to life with a capital L, the thing that courses through us. It's in all our lives. And so, in that class, my guess is you're in a state of play.
Totally.
You can know you're in a state of play if you feel alive. There is no liveness without a state of play.
Totally.
And when you're out of that class, you're not in a state of play, and so there's deadness. That's just how life works. You are sifting through playful moments and non-playful moments. Now, play is serious business. It's not like silly or thrill or anything like that. I mean, revolutionary acts are playful. They're saying, I'm taking what everybody's saying is power that can't be moved, and I'm doing something about it. And when you do that, you feel alive and connected and all those kinds of things. Play is our avenue into those things. And
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, our
And you
society's
like,
made it. Yeah, go ahead.
oh no, sorry. What were you going to say? Our society's.
Capitalism's made it, Dave and Buster's, and that's not what I'm talking about. Capitalism made it like this side thing,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Thoreau even said this before he said people live lives of quiet desperation. He said the line before that was, we now see, kind of play as this thing you do after work,
Mm.
and so because play is free. Play can be free, and so capitalism's kind of made it this thing you do and you pay for, and it's kind of separate from work, but it should be the central element of our lives all the time. And modernity offers that opportunity when traditional societies didn't on some level, you know.
If you feel like you've lost control of your health, physically or mentally, Move Your Mind is here to help you. We guide you through weight loss, lifestyle change, and resetting your mindset without any extremes or overwhelm. If this resonates and you want to learn more, simply go to my Instagram at Nick Brax and click the link on the bio to fill out an application, and I'll send you over more information about the program. Thank you for supporting the podcast. If you find this show helpful, please share it with a friend and follow me on Instagram. It really helps. It's tricky, yeah, totally. And like even, this conversation feels like that to me, that feeling of play. It's like, it's spontaneous where, you feel that connectiveness and all that kind of thing. But that's the thing that I find tricky. And I'm sure this, like you were talking about it there, like for me, I was like, well, I love interviewing people. I love public speaking. I love acting. Yeah. I was like, I want to make a career where that's the only fucking thing I do. But I've made money out of all that stuff, but it's not, I'm not like a huge enough like name where it's like making enough for a full living. So then I'm like, okay, to do this stuff that I love doing and feel connected, I'm going to have to build a business as well. And I have, I've built a business, but then the business becomes so consuming that you forget to play. And it's like, how the fuck do you find the balance? Like that's like what frustrates me so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so maybe some of the ways to do that is to try to make the business part more playful. Like, how do I do something innovative and interesting within this structure or something,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't always know the answer, but community theaters give greater opportunity for actors than professional theater. Like if you're in a community theater, you can play a different part every single month.
Totally.
There are these repertories where there's not that many people. And so you're always playing something. So our culture is like filled with all these opportunities. They're just not professional opportunities. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So true. So we've got access to, and that's totally like when I first moved to New York, I was like, I'd never been in a play and I was like, okay, I want to do a play. So I auditioned for some and then I was like, okay, this is hard. Everyone's going for them, blah, blah, blah. So then I actually did that. I went and met a few people in community theatre. I ended up co-producing this play. We did it as like a one-off, and we had probably 50 people come watch it. It was like in the middle of, in the middle of nowhere. But I felt the buzz that I got from this group of people, all of us doing it for no money, all walks of life, just because we wanted to do it. The level of, I felt more from that than any paid acting job I've ever done, anything else. I was like, holy shit, I just felt this feeling of this is what it's all about. Yeah.
It's so interesting, isn't it? I mean, I know some actors that are, pretty famous and kind of big professional actors, and their day job of acting is like your day job you're talking about. They're like, I do this show and I do this show, but my real thing I want to do is that I'm so excited about this little tiny theater in Brooklyn where nobody comes, and I'm going to put on this performance of this play I wrote. Like that's the thing they're obsessed with.
Yeah.
And so even the acting is their day job. It's like, it's all right. I'm on the show,
Interesting.
Yeah. I was, we were visiting Boston with my son, and we were in what's called the Seaport District, which is this just totally, fake area. It's like, I don't know if you remember Sim City, but it looks like Sim City. It just looks like it's just like, created by, there's nothing, nothing kind of organic there. And we were getting together. It's one of these family things where nobody knows what we're going to do together. And we're kind of wandering around and we're starting to get kind of grumpy with each other. And he brought cards and he plays this game called Oh Hell, which my mom taught him, which she played when she was a kid and her dad taught her. And he now plays, and he has friends call him up and say, hey, Max, can we play Oh Hell tonight? This is like so wholesome, And he brought it out. We sat on the bench and we spent 3 hours playing Oh Hell in the middle of this kind of tourist place. And it was like the best day of the trip.
Totally, yeah.
So there are all these opportunities to have these experiences of play. We just have to have the boldness to not be told everything has to be bought to be experienced, You can make things happen,
Oh, it's so true. It's like, whenever I'm back with my family in Australia, we play canasta, and that's like, we'll play all summer, hours on end. It's like the bet everyone enjoys it the most. It's, it's not, it's nothing it's just cards, but like you get more out of it than doing all of these other, organized paid activities or whatever else you're going to do.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
cards, and it's it it has an indigenous quality to it because you all know
mm,
the language of the game. You all know it is a shared experience that you all know. And so if Max said let's play poker, that wouldn't have worked. It was oh hell that brought us together, and for you, Canasta brings you together. It
totally.
really is about we're doing a family tradition. You know, um, and we can do that. We can. My wife and I talk about creating a Shabbat every Friday. We never do it, but we could. We could like every Friday we invite neighbors over and we do Shabbat. And we try
Yeah.
and maybe we don't have any electricity. We don't do any computers for 24 hours. We never do it, but you could do it. There's all
Mm,
these
mm,
opportunities that we feel like we're not empowered to do because we've sort of been told everything needs to be fed to us. Everything legitimate's fed to us instead of we can
mm.
produce our own experiences of liveliness.
It's interesting what you're saying. Yeah. Like, so it's like, so this kind of thing, it's available for free to all of us, but we've got to make that conscious choice, like what you're even saying about, an actor who is already living the so-called dream, but that's become just work for him because it's all about money and,
Mm-hmm.
just a process. So then it's still, even then, the
Mm-hmm.
community theater is what he gets the joy out of. So if we can just find our own version of that outside of our day job, we can become, get more of that connecting feeling.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I would say we can and we have to.
Mm,
In other words, no one's going to hand us a sense of continuity anymore. Your elders used to. So, if you're going to have some sense of connectedness and continuity, you're going to have to generate yourself. If you don't live in a community where there is continuity, you're going to have to generate it yourself. You don't.
yeah.
We're not handed it anymore. You have to make it happen.
Is doing it
Um,
online like still enough?
I don't know. I mean, some of it's pretty good, but some of it's
Mm,
not. I
yeah.
mean, I thought that some of the ways we survived COVID were kind of legitimate. Like everybody making sourdough bread for a while, everybody getting into Tiger King for a while. I mean, all those sorts of things gave people some sense that we were connected. And banging dishes, banging pots for the nurses when they leave the hospital out their windows, and then showing that on YouTube and stuff like that. That had some effect. It did hold us in some ways. Together. It did. Yeah.
Do you
Um,
think you can be successful in the modern world? Like if you're, because it takes so much to be, people are wanting to be highly successful at whatever they're doing. Often
mhm,
that takes up every waking moment focusing on it,
mhm,
so competitive. Can you
mhm.
still achieve that success and make the time to, really do these things outside that are just about play and find the balance?
Well, maybe. But,
Hopefully.
you know, if you're really focused on like success in that way, yeah. I mean, you can focus on making money as something that gives you the ability to have more choices in how you play.
Yeah.
And gives you more opportunities for good experiences. But if accumulating money for the sake of accumulating money is your goal, you're going to live a pretty empty experience. Um, so it's really about what you're using it for and how you're trying to head towards it.
Yeah.
Um, and getting good at something is really important. So success in the sense of getting good at something, I got no problem with that. Getting excellent at something is a good thing. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just more like what we're talking about before, the sort of the way the world's conditioned us is to move away from connecting because it's
Yeah.
just about trying to like acquire more to fill that hole that can never be filled unless we work out how to
Yeah.
fill it ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if we all lived in neighborhoods where we felt really satisfied because of our context with our neighbors,
Mm.
we would shop less. You know, it's just we would buy things less. We would stay home more and hang out. You know,
Yeah.
um, and that's not going to run capitalism well. And so it's always about kind of trying to seduce you into buying things. Commercials on TV are all about connectedness. You
Mm.
know, everything on TV. It's the Subaru commercial about getting you to the wedding, and the Viagra commercial about kind of intimacy and connection. They're all like selling that, and then TV shows are kind of letting you live Viagra, uh, what's it called?
Viagra. Yeah.
Living through it,
Yeah.
constantly,
Totally.
they're constantly shows about connection where the connections are just beautiful, and then you kind of want it, but you can't have it. Shrinking
Mm.
was like that. All these sort of shows are like that. They're about wonderful communities of people who really are supportive of each other, and we kind of live through the TV show. We don't live it in our
Mm.
lives. Ted Lasso was like that. It was really trying to
Yes.
sell you connection. It was like connection porn. It wasn't. Instead of making it yourself, you were going to watch Ted Lasso feel connected. And, um, that void and then drugs and alcohol fill that void. All kinds of things fill that void.
Social media, I guess, as well.
Media does all those things. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So a huge portion of our audience are men that just feel stuck in life. So,
Oh, yeah.
it could be anything. Some of them are in a job they can't stand, but they're scared to leave. They want to start a business. They
Mhm.
just feel lost. They've hit a point of desperation, depression, where they don't know how to get out of it. What would you
Yeah.
say to someone, if anyone is listening to this, if they're feeling just, completely stuck, they don't know what to do? What's like one first step you could look at taking?
I wish I could tell you. I mean,
Yes.
there's a couple things I can take, because I'd rather help people, kind of contemplate what the dynamics are of change than tell them how to. And I wrote this book called How We Change, in the 10 Reasons Not to. And it was supposed to be titled Don't Go Changing, but HarperCollins wouldn't let me call it that, because the first thing is this: that don't hate the part of you that's keeping you stuck. There's something there that's actually protecting you, and that's okay if you can kind of love it and recognize
Mm.
that staying stuck is you kind of looking out for yourself because you're afraid of something. That's a better place to be than to see it as this kind of disease that's sort of outside of you got to get rid of. And I've been doing this research on this thing called fear of hope. And fear of hope is that, hope is this thing that kind of drives you through uncertainty to things you want. It's not optimism. It's the thing that you need to get through uncertainty to something you want. And change is always getting through uncertainty. And if you fear hope, if you've had so many disappointments that hope becomes the most dangerous thing in the world because it's going to drive you towards disappointment, it becomes this major dynamic in staying stuck. Like, I don't want to get excited again or get my expectations up, and I don't want to have that experience of kind of helplessness when the thing doesn't work out. So that's one part, is to kind of look at that. Um, and then the other is, you asked for one thing. I'm sorry, but um, basically work on things you can have control over, which is a lot to do with your connectedness with people. Because there's a theory called threat assessment theory, which says that when you see something difficult, you see it as a threat when you don't have the resources to meet it. And you see it as a challenge when you do have the resources. And part of
Mm.
those resources are the things we've been talking about today. If you have a lot of social support, that's a resource. You feel strong enough to meet that thing and make it a challenge, not a threat. It's something I can handle. And if you don't have those things, you're going to stay stuck. And so maybe don't look so much at the stuckness and look at your context. Where am I missing these resources that I need to actually go forward towards? It's
Mm.
really, really hard to be motivated without a sense of social support, kind of being effective in the world, having purpose, all those sorts of things. I hope that was helpful. I don't know.
I think amazing answers there. I love that. I love that. And I know all of them. And I love what you were saying as the first point about don't, look at it, if you're feeling stuck as this like hugely negative thing, and how do I, more look at it like, okay, it's obvious, it's there to protect me. Because then you sort of remove that, um, whatever it, the feeling of it being this negative thing. And then it becomes a more fluid sort of thing to
Yeah,
deal with, I guess, which it's,
that's
yeah, I
right.
think that's because it's like the opposite of what you naturally want to do. You want to like be like trying to fight it, but that just makes it worse.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's you know, all love all love is broken. It doesn't It's not some perfective state. And so is self-love. Self-love is broken. So,
Mm.
you're staying the same. It's kind of your love of yourself kind of doing a shitty job, but it's still love. It's still like, man, I don't want to have these ugly feelings if this thing doesn't work out. I don't want to kind of do all that. And it's still coming from a place of, looking out for yourself.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, you're right. It becomes more fluid, and it becomes something you can weigh. Okay, yeah, that's why I'm doing that. Yeah, and I'm
Mm.
not really
Mm.
crazy about it. I get why it gives me some benefit, but I don't want to do it. If you just say it's a bad thing, it feels like something that you can't control. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, where can our listeners go if they want to learn more about you? They want to buy your book or whatever else. Where can we send them?
Well, the two companies are Ellenhorn, which is ellenhorn.com, and then the psychedelic company is cardea.net. Um, my two most recent books are through HarperCollins, but you can find them on Amazon. So one is Purple Crayons, which is really mostly what we've been talking about tonight. It takes the Harold and the Purple Crayons children book and talks about play as this kind of central element in our lives. And then the other one is How We Changed and the 10 Reasons Not to Change. You can find them on Amazon. They're still in the bookstores.
Okay.
Which I realize what that means is that nobody bought them. It's not really a great thing for your book to still be in the bookstore after 3 years. It means that nobody took it off the shelf because nobody bought it. But they're still Purple Crayons is still in the bookstores.
Well,
So,
not as many people are going into bookstores as they
that's
used to, I guess, online. But
yeah.
anyway, for anyone listening, all of the links will be in the show notes. So make sure to go and check it all out, buy the books. And Ross, thank you so much, mate. We finish every episode with 5 closing questions. So these
Mhm.
can be sort of, whatever comes to mind. The
Okay.
first one being, what's your best childhood memory that comes to mind?
Mm. I think that my dad was assessed people for the Peace Corps. He was a psychologist, and we were at this Peace Corps camp, and it's the 1970s, and it's all kind of hippie type people that are in the Peace Corps. And we were in the jungle of in the rainforest of Puerto Rico, and I found this spot, and I was 7 years old, and for some reason I thought it'd be a great place to have a picnic. And somehow somebody heard, and everybody decided to follow me to this spot, and they put on a picnic. And that was just experience of, holy shit, you can
Yeah.
actually make things happen in the world. It was like,
Wow.
wow, you can playfully make things happen. That's a real important experience for me. Yeah.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that one.
Yeah.
What do you think's currently the biggest burden on mental health in society?
Probably a couple things. One is the mental health system, which is just spending so much time making people feel broken. And then so much of it's not mental health in the sense that it's something that would be there if people lived in tighter communities. So it really is the fraying of the social fabric, is fundamentally dangerous. Yeah. And then not enough programs that are in the community. Too much putting people away. Not enough how do we keep people in the community.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What's your personal definition of happiness?
I don't know. It's something that's I don't know what it is. It doesn't really interest me.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in depth, and sometimes that means feeling deeply sad. And depth and meaning and purpose interest me more than happiness. I worry about. I know that there's a lot of good stuff out there on happiness, but I'm much more interested in feeling deeply, whatever's
Yeah.
feeling I'm having.
Yeah, happiness is fleeting. It's like we need, and there's not really any meaning in life if we don't feel negative things as well. It
Yeah,
can't all be positive.
That's right.
If you could give one piece of advice to your 18-year-old self, what would that be?
Well, one would be just like, dude, you got to stop smoking so much weed, I think I'd say. And then I'd say, don't go because people want you there. Go because don't work so hard on being wanted. Go for what you want,
Yeah,
Mm.
love that. Well,
Yeah.
final one. What are you most proud of?
Oh yeah, this company. Yeah, yeah, it really reflects it's my it feels like a work, like a thing that like a piece of art, like something I created that reflects something of my position in the world, my position towards the world. And so
Mm.
I feel very satisfied that I created it. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, love that, mate. Love that. Well, thank you so much. And I know our listeners will take so much out of this. I've like taken a huge amount out of what you're saying. So I've loved the conversation and appreciate your time. And yeah, we'll have to stay in touch.
I'd love that. Yeah, it was. You're very good at this, Nick, and I appreciate it. Appreciate the way you do this. Yeah.
I appreciate it, mate. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ross Ellenhorn, for joining me today and offering your insights. And thank you for listening. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode and any suggestions for topics you'd like to hear about. Feel free to leave a comment or just send me a DM. Your feedback is always appreciated. Please don't forget to click the subscribe button, leave a like or comment, share with your friends, and follow me on Instagram. It really makes a difference. Thank you so much.